rather sit and sniff drugs on my ones by myself. I ain't bitter for once, I feel at home in this realm. Don't get it twisted though, I was raised to behave well. Still the only thing I really get up and raising is hell. It's pretty lonely.
I'm Elliot Ward, the hypnosis expert and addiction specialist. And here today I have a special guest with me, one of my clients, Dan Mason. How you doing, Dan?
Good, Elliot. Thank you. Yourself?
Good. I'm excellent.
Good.
Dan is a heating engineer who came to see me because he wanted to get over his addiction to the packet, of course. And he's here to talk about his story. So, Dan, tell me how it first started for you, how you first started using.
That was back when I was about 21 years of age. It was the known thing, you know.
Sorry, to give a bit of context, how old are you now, Dan?
I'm 36 now.
Okay,
36.
So go on.
But yeah, so it was just recreational fun with the boys in the town, you know, going out, just normal, you know, everyday thing. It was just what it was, you know. It was just run of the mill. And then it just, you don't realise what you're getting into with it all.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it?
It's such a slow creep thing, you know. But it becomes so much of the norm, so much of what everybody was doing around the town, and it was all well known. But what you're not realising at the time when you're using it is how normal it becomes and it feels around, you know. And it's a slow but sad journey that you do kind of go down with it.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing just to pick up on what you said. You know, it's interesting. You start socially and then you kind of gravitate to other people that use.
Definitely, you all do. And, you know, because you almost think that just because, you know, your friends may be doing it and you know of others doing that it's okay.
Yeah.
And you think that everything's all right, you know. But in reality, something's happened to you that you're not even aware of. You're totally in denial of yourself to what it is, and you convince yourself that it's all right, it's not an issue, it's not a problem. You know?
Yeah, and it's not even just the people you do it around, but it's also the environment you go to. You tend to go to places where it's almost acceptable to use it, just like you're part of the tribe.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't think that while you're using there isn't really a place that's not acceptable, because you can create a space or find a space where you believe that this will be all right if I'm in here, or it's all right because I'm with these, you know, or it's not that bad, definitely. But the environment you create, man, I mean, you know, when you speed it up a year or so, and then what you're slowly becoming to doing is, from being the sociable drug around town, is then after town you're then going back to your friend's house.
Yeah,
you know, which is a classic kitchen talk.
That's exactly what happens, you know, right? Kitchen talk and 5 a.m. lights coming
and, you
up.
know, it's 3 a.m. in the morning, and you know you're coming down off the high, and then one of you's like, "Should we get another bag in?" And you make that phone call, and then you'll start craving it, and then you're chasing it. And the reality is what the hell for?
Yeah.
To sit up for a few more hours, watch the birds chirp, and then just
sitting talking shit, right?
Sitting talking shit, and you look like shit and you feel like shit, and the next day you're on the hardest come down. You know, you are feeling like shit.
And here's the funny thing, right? I get a lot of people make comments on my social media, and they say things like, "Oh no, I'm never going to end up like that." I mean, who did you ever think you'd end up like that?
Honestly, if you took me back to when I was 18 years of age, you know, I was anti everything. You know, never even had a tattoo, no drugs, hardly drink, almost teetotal. But I can't explain how slowly it starts to take effect on you and creeps up with you. But it just blurs your mind, and you become in such a denial of where you're at, and you get there so quickly.
Yeah,
you've got to admit.
How long did it take you to go from social to a regular user?
I can't pinpoint that. Can't pinpoint that. But when I became aware, aware of it, it must have been like 4 or 5 years down the line. You know, well, hang on a bit, I'm probably doing a little bit too much of this. In reality, it was probably well before then. You know, but you convince yourself that you want to do something about it. You know, and you know, I've got to slow down, and then somehow because you're around that group or that social of friends. You know, they're not aware of what you're thinking and stuff, and you want to step back from it.
Yeah.
But in reality, you can't, because you've got no other friend circle.
Yeah,
you know?
Definitely. I mean, cutting those friends away, that's a very important part to do. But like you said, it's woven into what you do. Your whole social, you know, interaction is with other users.
100%, you know, and it's such a mixed variety, you know. The packet user comes in many shapes and forms.
100%.
Do you know what I mean? The amount of, you know, walking down the street, it could literally be anybody, you know, and how the vast variety of different types of people that are using it is unreal. Do you know what I mean? From X odd years old to the youngest of age.
Yeah, you're right. It spans every age group, every financial income capacity, every occupation. You're right.
It will sow a web with every sort of person going, every sort of being going. It's 100% without you even knowing it.
And when you got to your height of your usage, when it got to the most you ever used, how often were you using and what quantity were you using?
Well,
a big deep breath in there.
Yeah, that hurts. It hurts, but it's reality, So at my worst, I was doing, I counted it up, which is roughly 65 tickets a week, which was about for 2 years, give or take £1,000 a week.
£1,000 a week.
£1,000 a week. That hurt,
Fuck.
But the thing was, I thought I was a functioning user at that stage. I was still getting up, I was still going to work, I was still doing everyday things. But looking back now, I don't know how I was functioning.
You were using during the day?
Yeah, day and night, day and work, home life, 24/7.
Yeah,
24/7.
And that's the thing that I try and say when I talk about dry sniffers and an alcohol gateway. And what I try and say is this: once it becomes a regular pattern, once you're using during the day, alcohol is very rarely the gateway because you can't go to work, you can't be a heating engineer, turn up at people's houses and be drinking, right? But you can get away with using the gear.
Well, you think you can get away with
using the gear. Yeah, that's true.
That's the difference, You think it's okay. But definitely, and you think that nobody notices. I remember this specifically because I was renovating a house at the time and I had a lot of friends and family helping me in this. And I was whizzing around, I'm very fidgety and hands-on and as it is at the moment. But I was so erratic in my behaviours, but I was convinced that nobody knew what I was up to and that I was fooling them all. But really, I was in denial, But I was just a chaotic mess. I looked a mess. The things I was coming out with, my behaviours were just unreal, But I thought that was totally normal and that nobody noticed.
Of course.
But you're fooled to yourself to believe or think that for one moment people don't see it in you.
Yeah, definitely.
Everybody sees through you, and the only person that's made to look an idiot is yourself for even thinking.
And here's the strange thing, right? Somehow you rationalise that you spend £1,000 a week, on using, and yet you can look at something like, I don't know, a T-shirt for £100, a pair of trainers for £200.
Oh, definitely.
And you're like, oh wow, I wouldn't spend like £100 on a T-shirt.
100%. You used to be wearing skanky old trainers, think, oh yeah, they're too much money, because it would come into your finances towards the packet. You will prioritise the packet, and you do with everything. It becomes your first thought and your last thought of every day. And the amount of times you tell yourself you're going to give up or I'm going to stop, this, that, and the other, and you just lie to yourself.
So the majority of your usage escalated to the point where you were using on your own?
Yeah, 100%. I become very antisocial. I hibernated myself away. I wanted to be by myself. I didn't want to interact with other people. You almost want to lock yourself away in a closet or in your own little container just to suppress these feelings. But you're not aware of it at the time.
You don't see where you're at.
No, of how much it's destroying you and your behaviours and the weird things that you're actually doing.
Weird things like what?
Oh, there's been some very weird moments.
Come on, share it.
There's been some very, very weird stuff, like the amount of things I've seen out in the garden. I remember one night I was convinced that there was people in the garden.
Oh, hallucination, paranoia.
Yeah. Definitely been out in the garden looking for someone with a bat, gone over the fence.
With a bat?
Yeah, been with a bat, yeah. At one of the worst times for me, at the height of my worst, was I actually entered a drug psychosis, okay? And that's a scary place to be.
Yeah, it is.
And I was adamant that there were people there, people in my house. I can't believe I've done this, which is actually got in my car, and I drove from where I live. I went over the Orwell Bridge, and I was looking in my rear view mirror, and there's a little dot in the corner of the rear view mirror, and I was convinced that it was a camera and that people were watching me. And I was getting myself right wound up, this, that, and the other, but I actually ended up stopping my car on the motorway in the fast lane. I laid in the slow lane to look underneath my car because I thought two of my friends were hiding underneath my car.
Wow.
Okay. I then got back in my car, drove around the next roundabout, went back to my estate where I live and saw my neighbour. But thank God,
you can swear here.
He's a head psychiatric doctor, and I gave him my keys and told him to take my car before I kill someone. Yeah. Which he did do, but he wanted to take me to the hospital, etc., which I refused to. No. But I ended up being arrested for no mental capacity and took there in handcuffs by the police.
Wow.
Which was a bit of an eye-opener. But at that point...
It still didn't stop you?
No, of course it didn't.
Even when you get to that point where you realise the next day and you look back on what you did and you're going, I drove my car, like, how can I drive my car in that state? I'm looking at a dot in the rear view mirror thinking it's a camera, people watching me. Because people watching you is a very common thing I hear. People go, oh, there's cameras in the lights.
Yeah,
or
paranoia.
The paranoia is off the chart,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
Checking the old cameras, the CCTV, the Ring.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. Oh, that's meant. I've watched that many a times overnight. Looked at my phone and convinced there's someone there and stuff. You know.
The only thing you do is get up to do a line to get back to look at the Ring.
Yeah. But why do you do that? What's that about?
What's that about?
But no, yeah. So there's some scary times. But as you just said, at that point there, which I would say is one of my worst, that still wasn't the turning point.
Still wasn't enough.
No. So from that, I actually did get taken to hospital with no mental capacity. Got seen by the doctors, discharged. Okay, they didn't really do a lot. They haven't got time for self-inflicted drug
That's the
users.
problem.
They just give you diazepam and send you on your way. And then I crashed hard for about 3 or 4 days. You know, what the hell's just happened? Turning my phone on for an hour. Bloody hell, don't want to deal with that. Turning it back off, you know. And I remember I got told that because I've entered the drug psychosis stage, if I was to do drugs again, I would enter that stage a lot quicker than before.
You're right.
You know what I mean? And but yeah, it's from that, you know, I've convinced myself that I want to stop. I've got to stop. You know, entered myself into the local rehab kind of places, etc., which is your turning point or your open roads, and went down there. Thought I'm going to do something about myself, you know. And I remember specifically, I got to that door at the local rehab centre, and I'll go in anywhere. I walked up to the door, banged on it, you know, and looked through there, and turned around, walked back, and thought I've got to go in there. And so as I've gone in, the lady at the reception's asked, "Oh, hello, Mr. Mason. You know, how can we help you?" I said, "I've got a bit of a problem, an issue with." She said, "Oh, I've got a problem with the packet. Doing about £1,000 a week." She said, "Are you still functioning?" I said, "What do you mean functioning?" She looked over to the corner, and I could only describe as what heroin addicts were, like twitching a bit like this. And I thought, well, yeah, I'm still functioning, going to work and stuff, you know. And but unfortunately, with the rehabs and that, they weren't something that I could relate to. Or
It didn't fit with you.
No, it didn't, you know.
I understand that.
And, you know, with the rehabs and stuff, I think that's an environment where you're going to be put in like a safe bowl or something for like 30 days or so. But when you're coming away from that,
exactly,
you're back to your own survival tricks.
Yeah.
And you're really not going to, you know, it's not the same as you need to get to the core root of your problem.
Definitely.
You know?
I think that is a fundamental issue with going to rehab. The problem with rehab is you're in a group surrounding, okay, and you're away from your triggers, from the hooks that make you use. And that's fine for that short period of time when you're there.
Yeah.
But the moment you go back into your own environment, that stress, that boredom, that having an argument, that
key word there, boredom.
Boredom.
That is a big key factor, yeah.
An escape for you.
Yeah, with boredom and time, dealing with your time management, you know, and structure of your own life. That's a big key factor in it.
I think interesting because you mentioned to me earlier about the ADHD, and I think boredom is exacerbated with ADHD. And it's like that gap of not knowing what to do. You know, if we think about life, right, you know, years ago, if we go right back into history, you know, we had to survive. We had to go out and hunt. We had to build our fires.
Yeah, definitely.
Now you don't have that period of time of making survival to be able to live. So you have time in your hands, and therefore you have a boredom factor.
Yeah, 100%. And that is when the key thing comes into it, you know. I noticed since obviously being in contact and being a client of yours, putting structure back in my life is a massive help.
Definitely.
But because of how simple, like you said, actually going out, you know, well, I've moved away from my local area, 45 minutes away, just to get away from it and just be not in that circle, you know. And people can't just pop in. People can't just say like, well, I've got a cheeky bag. Do you want a line, mate? Or anything like that, you know. It's took that away from it. But it's also the other side of things, which is there's no loo roll in the bathroom, you know. I've got to go get it myself.
Yep.
So I've got to do it.
Exactly.
And that's a massive structure. If, you know, I make sure I get home, I cook myself something to eat, have a shower, tidy up, etc. like that, you know, and put structure back in my life.
Yeah,
without
definitely.
That, you are very lost.
Definitely.
And that is a big key factor of Packet for me.
Picking up on something you said before, even when you got to that low point where when you went into the hospital and it still didn't stop you, I think it's a little bit like a relationship, right? Sometimes you can be in a relationship and you realize that this relationship isn't the right relationship. Toxic, right? But you don't leave that relationship immediately. You might last months. Some people will be in a relationship for years before they finally get that ability to leave that situation. It's the same thing. It's like being in a relationship.
Yeah, it is. But the hardest thing is, like, say you're in that relationship, people are aware of the relationship that you're in with the packet, but, you know, and you tell yourself you're going to stop it and stuff like that, but you have to be honest to yourself. You really have to be honest to yourself and other people around you. And one massive thing that, again, that's helped me is I'll tell anybody now, about my situation with the packet, and I say it out loud, that I'm a packet user, or it grabbed me, I'm in recovery and I'm doing this and doing that. So actually say it out loud is a massive difference, because everybody knows what's going on around you.
Yeah,
and what you'll
definitely.
notice is people will try to help you, but they can't do nothing for you. Nobody can do anything for you. You've got to want to do it yourself. And what they'll do is, when they've realised that you're not helping yourself, they will start to distance from you, because they can't watch one of their friends, loved ones, whoever, spiral downhill. They've just got to let you do it, and they will come away from them.
Yeah, they don't know how
out
to
of
deal
respect.
with it.
No, so they'll come away from it. If these people can't help you, which they're there for you if you want them.
Yeah.
All of them are. And the people I've got around me, my friends, family, loved ones, are absolutely amazing. Do you know what I mean? But until I got to that pinnacle point of actually, I'm going to sort this out now, let's do something with it. You are not. And people do distance yourself, and you become so, alone.
Yeah.
And an antisocial circle.
And then when you're alone, what do? You go and use.
Yeah, because
Hello, mate.
it numbs that thought, it numbs that process. You want to get through, and it speeds time up.
Yes.
But you've got to deal with that emotion and that problem head on. And you've got to either, are you doing something about it? Are you not doing something about it? None of this crap about, I'm doing it and, I've got a court case coming up, or, it's my birthday, I'm going to stop on my birthday, it's Christmas, so it's such and such. Stop with all that crap.
There's always the excuse.
Yeah. The excuses are unreal, and it's almost laughable. I have many friends at the moment which have been congratulating me on where I've been getting to, and have noticed differences in myself, and they've been explaining their problems to me, but they won't step up to the plate.
Yeah.
They won't do anything about it, and there's always this.
I'm not as bad as that.
Yeah. That is a classic.
Yeah.
That is a classic.
Or if I got to where you were, well, I'll do something about it.
Yeah. Although you'd have to. Yeah, it's not that bad, because I'm not as bad as you yet, 100%. But everybody's point of changing is different. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely.
They always say you got to hit rock bottom, and you have got to hit rock bottom where you come up. I mean, this incident with the car and the hospital, this is about a year and a half ago,
right.
But since then, and it was aware that family, friends and loved ones were well aware of my story and what was going on, okay? It still took me from them over a year or more, and, I become more reckless, more ruthless, more selfishness. And then it started affecting I got a criminal record.
Right.
I think I lost my driver's license for 4 years.
It's got massive repercussions.
It's cost me over 10 years of my life to rebuild what I've got back. But as I said, the recklessness didn't stop. So I still, within a month or so of coming out of the hospital, started using again, But then I said things started to get more serious. Police started getting involved. They were aware of me, the things that was going on. My mother reported me, and my neighbour reported me for being a possible drug driver, to be aware, which at the time I thought was wrong, but in reality it's not safe. I wasn't safe to be on the road. I could have killed someone.
You thought they were against you then?
Yeah, I did, but in reality they weren't. I wasn't safe on the road.
It's hard to see at the time though.
There's a lot of moments of clarity, shall we say, as after.
How did your usage affect the people around you, your family and your friends and loved ones?
It's a tough one to sort of say, that one, because I think it's just so upsetting and so sad for them, because everybody does want to help, but you can't. Do you know what I mean? You're not in that stage, and then they just have to just let you do what you're gonna do, because they can't stop.
I think lying's a big one, because
you lie to yourself.
You 100%. You lie to the people around you. You lie to yourself. I'm not that bad. You lie when you've used. You lie the quantity used. You lie the frequency used. You lie what you can do. You just get caught in this web.
It's embarrassing. It is sad. I mean, the classic, take a look at yourself in the mirror, and one day you will, and your eyes will be black as anything. You'll have snot coming out your face. You'll be tired. Your anger, your moods is unreal. Your outbursts, your rage. You can blow hot and cold so quick with the aftermath.
When you said take a look at yourself in the mirror, it's interesting, because I was on Dapper, Dan O'Reilly, Dapper Laughs podcast, and he said something about people around him. They don't like the mirror being held up to them.
No, they don't. And like I've said on a few of your podcasts, okay, I've got friends or people that I know that I've had to distance myself from a lot of people, not because they're wrong, they do anything wrong to me, but I found that they're an anchor, and by me being in that circle wasn't good for me. It was holding me there.
Yeah.
You know, so I've had to break free from them and just leave them to do their thing while I do mine. But what were we saying? I've just totally just gone blank.
Holding the mirror up to the other.
Oh yeah, holding the mirror up to the wall. Somebody who uses every day, or somebody who uses every other month, they're still an addict,
Yeah,
and they're still
absolutely.
relying on it,
Oh,
but they're in
absolutely.
denial. Do you know what I
Yes.
mean? There's no okay for this, or it's all right.
Oh, I hear that all the time. People go to me, "Oh, I'm not an addict. I just use on a Friday. I'm not an addict. I just use every other weekend." You know, you have an addiction. If you have a propensity to use that substance, you have an addiction.
Yeah. Now, what was it? This is an odd thing. So when I was at the Open Road Rehab Centre, okay, he said it wasn't an addiction. Was a habit, because it works as on a euphoria effect, doesn't it? The cocaine.
Yeah, okay.
And that was very confusing. That was,
Well, this is how I would define it, okay? So anything that you use that has negative consequences is an addiction. So food, right? We eat, we can have pleasure from food, or we can use food and have an addiction to food that has a negative consequence. We can exercise, it can be healthy, it can be good, but we can't exercise, it can have a negative consequence. So it's like when you use and it has a negative consequence on your you, that's an addiction. And the difference between a habit is that's something you do, it's a passion, it's something you enjoy doing.
yeah.
You know, like, look, I know that you were into, you go, what's it called, on the track?
Track days, yeah.
Track days,
Yeah.
right? I've seen you with your bike, you're out there on the bike. I'm going to put some clips of that together with this on your track days. That's a passion, right?
I love that.
Right.
I love that.
That's a passion. There's a big difference.
100%. But, you know, there was a ruthless passion before that, because, as I said, with the criminal record, you know, losing my license, you know, the consequences, and you don't care. You don't give a fuck. So the number plate came off the bike.
Right.
You know, it became a track bike,
Oh.
but it was on the road, you know, and I was being chased for 6 months. I was having, you know, and it ended up with a 7-car police chase from my house all the way back, you know, to my local area. It's about 20 miles away.
Wow.
And that's a bit of an extreme. But I shouldn't say this, but the adrenaline buzz off it was fucking amazing. And, like, you know, and it's...
Listen, we've all done things that we look back on and think, oh, why did I do that? But at the time, and even looking back to some degree, sometimes you have to live through experiences to get to where you are
It's
in
all
life.
just chapters of life, you know. You have good
Exactly.
chapters and bad, and when you've got the police knocking at your mother's door, you know,
Yeah.
saying that we know it's you, and we've now been given authorization to ram you and take you out because of how dangerous and reckless you are, and you're saying it's not me and being smug, you know, it's a bit of a rain check time.
Yeah. How did it affect your relationship? Because you're quite close to your mum, right?
Yeah.
How did it affect your relationship with your mum while you were using?
I isolated myself away from her, but it was very toxic, very negative, you know. There's a form of, I suppose there's a bit of a form of bullying involved, you know, because of what you want to do and your behaviours and that, and because it ended up with mum just saying no constantly. It got to the point where, you know, enough comes enough, and she just had to fight back for herself and just put me in my place, you
Right.
know. And if, you know, she had to call the police on me a couple of times because it got out of control. You know,
That's a hard one for a parent, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a hard one for a parent, but, you know, what do they do?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They can't.
I get a lot of people message me and they'll say, you know, my son, my daughter, my brother, you know, has this addiction. What do I do? You know, it's a hard one to answer. You know, what do you do?
Well, you can talk to Frank, but I don't know what he does. I don't know. You can ask Mum. You can ask Mum. Mum's tried to talk to Frank. She's tried them all, but I don't think there's anything that they can do. They just have to sit back and pray and hope that you're going to get to a point where you want to come back.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of people that do come back and do come out of this, you know. And I tell you what, it's one of the fucking hardest things I've ever had to
Yeah,
do,
I agree.
and I would never wish it upon anyone, you know.
Yeah.
But it can be done, and we can all get out of this, you know. It's
And
just-
what are those relationships now that you're clean? What are they like for you?
Well, I mean, you know, I recently, last week, I went out on first boys' day with my uncle and my little cousin, you know, at Snetterton Racetrack. It was amazing. That meant the world to me. Do you know what I mean? And things with mum's getting better, you know, and just positive talk, really. You know, I occasionally get the old cheap shot, but I've got to take that, you know, little niggle or something. It hurts, it stings, you know. But
You earned it.
yeah, you've
Take
got,
it on the chin.
You've got to remember you've caused damage. You've
Yes.
done a lot of damage, and you've caused a
Yes.
lot of upsets.
And there's still a little bit of a trust issue.
100%, you know. And it's only come to recent, you know, as I've been seeing this, a partner, she's absolutely my rock at the moment. And she said to me...
Go on there, girl.
Yeah, and she said to me, you know, you're going through this journey, this chapter, you know, but when does it all sort of end, you know, when does it start, you know, because you can't take things because of risk, you know. And I thought about it for 24, 48 hours, you know, and it's quite sad, which is I don't want anybody to go through have the feeling of I've got a cold, has he, hasn't he, to be second judging me,
Sure.
second guessing
Bit
things.
of hay fever and you sneeze and someone's looking at you.
Yeah,
like,
I don't
is
want
he
that.
back on it?
You know, that's not fair for them. That's not fair for them at all, because you know, how do you want to live the rest of your life?
Yeah.
So it just has to be done, and hopefully I've earned enough trust now that people can see that. But we're still in the early days, you know.
Yeah, of course.
I think my last session with you was maybe five or 6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But honestly, when I met you, Elliot, I come across you on Dapper's Menace to Sobriety podcast. Episode 1 with Kirk caught my attention, could relate to so much. And then yourself. I remember I was in Cornwall at the time. I was working with a friend, and I ended up just putting it on and was driving in the van. I ended up watching the whole thing. And I thought, this is quite an interest, you know. I didn't know how I felt about believing in it or the reality of it behind the scenes, and it went on. And I was laying there one evening, and it got to the end, it said about your website and so on and so forth. So I followed the links and got in contact, you know. And, you know, like I say, I was a bit reserved and sceptical about does this work or does this not. But if you don't try it, you'll never know.
I'll give you the money later, Dan.
Yeah.
Only kidding.
But honestly, the work you've done, you know, I come away sometimes thinking, what the hell's going on? You know, the hypnosis and 45 minutes later and this, that and the other. And some of the things we discuss, you know, you have to think, does it work? But the answers to the results aren't coming from myself or from you. It's coming from others around me.
Yep.
You know, they're seeing changes. They're seeing how much better I look, how much calmer I am, you know, and stuff like that. That's when we know it's sort of working. And it has generally changed my life and the outlook on it.
It's you know, I always use this word a lot. You suddenly feel alive.
Yeah, you feel, purpose and structure, and you want to do stuff, but you lose purpose, you lose structure, and you have no routine, and you kind of just exist, you know, and then you're in a vicious circle where it's like, I want to take the packet to numb this feeling, but I shouldn't take the packet to get myself out of this, and you're in a very vicious little circle.
Yeah, definitely.
Know? But you've got to just tell yourself you are going to do it. Take it fucking seriously. You know, get your phone, get all your dealers' numbers or whatever, block them all, delete them, and send them away. You know,
exactly. As you say, it narrows down your existence. It narrows down the things you do.
Yeah, and do you know what? You come down to yourself and you only, and the only person who's put you there is yourself.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And but like I say, by coming out of it, I'm starting to be a lot more sociable, starting to see a lot more friends again. All of my friends around me are supporting me.
That's good.
You know, and they said, like, they couldn't watch you go downhill.
Yeah.
You know, but all of my true friends in there, they're there for me. They'll help me do anything. And the only way I can repay all of them friends is by showing them that I've beat this and come out of this, because that's what they all want.
That's great.
Do you know what I mean?
So if I was going to ask you, as someone that's been a user, gone through the process with me, and somebody else is thinking about stopping, not necessarily coming to see me, because I'm not all about coming to see me. I think you've got to choose what's right for the individual person.
I think there's a big step between want to come off, try and get yourself, because I tried to do it myself. You know, I give my mother my bank card, stop taking my wages.
Yeah.
You will find ways. You will transfer money. You will do cash in hand jobs. You will find a way.
That's a big one, right?
Yeah.
Because I see a lot of people in the building industry, and it's like they give their partner the bank card, so it's like, I can't use.
Oh, there's
and it's
a way.
like they go and do a cash job, right?
Yeah, there's always
they got
a
like
way.
a 200 quid in their pocket, and it's like, going to go and do that.
Yeah, it's always a way, you know. You've got to be honest to yourself.
Yes, that's
you
a
need
big
to be
one.
honest to yourself and say it out loud. Say it out loud. Definitely say it out loud. That helps, you know. And just be honest.
What sort of words of encouragement would you give to somebody else who's still having that addiction and struggling through and trying to stop? What would you say to them?
Be honest to yourself.
Yeah.
Get out the denial scenario, and you can do it if you want to. You know, but you've got to do it for yourself, you know, and people aren't going to do it. You don't need babying. You don't want someone ringing you up every day, asking you to go to the gym or checking on you, however old you are. You've got to do it for yourself. You've got yourself in this mess, and you can get yourself out of it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Sometimes you've got to find the right route of somebody helping you get out of it, but you've got to want to do it.
Yeah, people can't do it for you.
Yes.
But they can make suggestions, point you in a direction that could help.
Yeah.
Not all directions that they're offering will necessarily work for you.
Yeah.
Like I said, with the open road, the turning points and stuff like this, everybody's approach or everybody's fix could be differently.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? But you've got to find something that works for you. But you will definitely find a way, 100%. And you will come out of it, and it can be done.
Yeah. It's good to hear, you know, and the benefits to your life, you're back track racing.
Yeah. So there's that, and like I say, it's family time and being present. I love that when Kurt Norcross said that, being present.
He did, yeah.
And I think that's a massive key factor. I mean, I got a few nieces and nephews, and it was sad really when my sister would come to visit. I would almost acknowledge them for 5 minutes. Hi. I'd hide in my bedroom.
I remember having a conversation slightly distance from your sister for a while. Didn't
Yeah,
you?
100%. Yeah, we just kept clashing all the time, but it wasn't nice for me to be around or for them to see me like that, because you was always black-eyed and a mess and that. And now I look forward to when they come down and when they come over. I bought one of them a quad bike, and they have a little Zoom round. They come round. They come
following in your footsteps.
Yeah, or they come around. And the young 3-year-old Aisha Blue, she gave me an MTV Cribs tour of her caravan, telling me where she sleeps and where the water goes, etc. And I love them to bits.
Yeah.
And the things that they show you, and you interact. It's great.
That's the thing. As you said, that Kurt said, being present. You can be there, but you're not present. And also the other thing is, when you've been on it, you're tired, and when you're tired, you don't have that patience to give.
No.
Or you're thinking about you either using at that time or thinking about going to use.
Another one was I was with my partner or whatever, and we was outside, and they were playing football in the garden. And I had one of my friends ring me up. He's struggling with the packet, and he's giving me this massive long essay story about all this drama, shit like that, and it's all to do with the packet. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching them playing football, and I listen to this. And I'm saying, ever so sorry, mate. Look, I'm gonna have to go. And I want to go play football. I want to go make a fuss in the garden. I don't want to be listening to some crackhead on the corner on my phone.
I get it.
And you just got to go to that point. Do you know what? I'm so sorry, mate. Here's Elliot's number. If that's what I can do to help you, give this guy a call. And do you know what? He didn't fucking call you.
This happens. I have a lot of my clients, and they give other people the number. They message me and go, I've given such and such your number. And it's like, do you know what? That's great, and I appreciate that. And if they want to do it, they'll call me. But so many people message and go, I need to stop. I want to stop. Send me a number. Send them the number. And they do fuck all about it, because they haven't got to that point where they realise they've got to take ownership. They've got to take ownership.
You'll go through the what I call the empathy or whatever it is. Whether you try to get people to feel sorry for you for the situation that you're in.
Yes.
And once you've got them, once you've managed to get them to believe that they feel sorry for you, you almost up a level. You think, yes, I've got them, and it's another form of getting packet.
Yeah.
So that's quite sad.
It's an adrenaline rush, right?
I don't know. I don't know what goes through people's minds, but yeah, you've just got to get out there, and if you're serious, you can do it. Step
and
up.
Life now, having money in your pocket.
Oh, it's great, man. It's great. Do you know what I mean? Like today, from here, I'm going to go. While we're in London, we're going to have a spot of lunch.
Nice.
See what's going on, and then this afternoon we're going to go out to the boat. We're going to get the rudders off. We're going down to Cornwall tomorrow to get rid of them.
So you're doing shit.
Oh man, it's mental. My life is great. Do you know what I mean? It really is. But I'm still, I'm early days. And I can't run before I walk. But so far it's great. I cannot complain.
I think you're doing all the right things. You're putting structure in your life. You're putting people around you, support. You're forward thinking. You're not looking in the rear view mirror.
No, there's no point standing still worrying about the past. We only move forward.
I have this expression. I always say, the reason why your car windscreen is bigger than the rear view window is because you've got to spend more time looking on where you're going than rather when you've been.
Yeah,
and that's what it should be.
Yeah, definitely. So many people worry about the past and they drag it around with them. And it's almost like a reason to hold on to the packet. It's
Definitely.
kind of like that feeling. But I still do have time where I like to. Because I live alone in my place, I have them days, and I will have to battle demons, and I have to process the boredom things, know. And what I tend to do, if I get like that and I start getting them thoughts in my head, I take myself out, I go for a walk, I get myself busy, I ring a friend and get myself out of there, But I've still got to be able to manage and deal with them boredom days.
So you've started to create a strategy that if you feel bored or you think, I'm home on my own and I'm feeling a little bit like, ooh, you go and do something.
100%. You have to, because you want to beat it. It's too easy to give in. If you even go back, you failed,
Yeah.
And I think if you can overcome this, I think what an achievement.
It's the devil and the angel, right? The angel's going, no, don't do it. The devil's going, yeah, just have it.
Yeah.
And it's like that's going on in your head, right?
100%.
Until eventually, as time goes by, the devil becomes smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
And the angel becomes bigger and bigger. And that's kind of what you're talking about.
100%. He's evil, that devil.
He's evil.
He's evil. He is
packet
evil.
devil.
I don't know.
Dan, listen, I really appreciate you being here. Thank you for your time.
Very welcome.
Great guy, and thank you for being on the
podcast.
podcast.
Take care,
Dan.
Thank you.
All the best.
I'd rather sit and sniff drugs on my ones by myself. I ain't bitter for once. I feel at home in this realm. Don't get it twisted though. I was raised to behave well. Still the only thing I feel that I've been raising is hell.